Welcome everybody, Chef Katie May here. We have a special guest with us today, Alese Jones. She's joining us from Florida and she's going to be making a gazpacho, an amazing gazpacho. I've actually never made gazpacho, Alese. I haven't told you that, but when I saw your dish, I was just like, oh, that looks so good. So I can't wait to see what you do with this, how you put it all together. And it's a really simple dish, right? So it's kind of silly I haven't made it because it's so flavorful and it's so easy to make overall. But your combination looked fabulous. So people in the comments, let us know that you can hear us okay. I'm going to let Alese introduce herself a little bit, and I'll let you know about the recipe too in a minute. But Alese, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how we met even?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Katie, for inviting me to be a guest on your show. It's really going to be fun for me.
Thank
you.
And
Katie and I met at TrueNorth Health Center in Santa Rosa, where I was a yoga teacher and would often go to cooking classes. And I was there for about, I think, 7 years. And I'm married to Dr. Michael Clapper, and of course he was one of the attending physicians there, so some of you may know him. Being in Florida, the weather is very, very hot, and so one of my favorite dishes, summer dishes, is gazpacho. And this one is just so full of flavor, and often in the summer months I tend to eat more raw because it's cooling, it's simpler, and I just like eating as much raw as I can. In the winter, I like to do heavier foods for the warmth. So I'm going to show you how to make that, and we're going to start with the recipe is calling for 12 large tomatoes.
But before you start, I just want to mention to everyone, I mentioned in the email, you guys, that the recipe I sent out just now, it only has the ingredients listed because I wanted to give you a little bit more guidance in the instructions. And so I'm going to take notes on everything that Alese tells us today, and I'll get you that updated recipe after the show today. Okay, so don't worry about, but if you are on if you're not on my email list yet and you are just joining us from YouTube, then make sure to opt in via the link in the description, and that will put you on our email list so that you will get the recipe when I send it out this evening. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. It's all yours.
If there's anything you need to ask me along the way, just jump in.
Yep, will do.
Okay. So it calls for 12 large tomatoes. The tomatoes that I purchased today are very large, and so I'm just using 10. I like to do this entire recipe in a food processor, just because I like to use as little as possible that I have to wash up afterwards. So the less that I'm dirtying plates and blenders and whatever, the happier I am. So the food processor for this is a real gem. So we're going to start with the tomatoes in the blender. I've already blended some of them because there were so many. This makes a big recipe. You can cut it in half and just do half. But I want to show you the consistency of which I process them. So it's almost like a tomato sauce. It's a little bit chunky. It's not real watery, a little bit chunky, and but well blended, so there's no thick pieces. So what I did first, I core the tomato because I don't want the hard white part inside. And I probably do about, pretty chunky, about this size of all the tomatoes that I put in here. So then I blend it all. I'm going to turn on the blender now. And they blend very quickly because tomatoes have such a full water content. And that really did it. That's all it took. So I'm going to put these in a bowl too, the big wooden bowl. And again, you can see same consistency as before. Whoop, and there goes the blade. And then we're going to take the cucumbers. So the cucumbers, I wanted to show you. I don't usually, but I did today use a different device for them because I already had filled this with the tomatoes and I didn't want to take them back out. This is called Briefton's, and it was gifted to me by Lily, my good friend Lily Vallejo, who I think might be
yes.
Katie May. And so she told me about this little device, and I just fell in love with it. So I'm just going to coarsely chop these cucumbers, and the recipe calls for 3 cucumbers, which are peeled. Make sure that you peel them. And then you just lock it. And as Lily first told me, you do the little dance. And when you do that little dance, it just chops everything to this consistency. You can see it's just very, very fine because you don't want any hard pieces in your gazpacho. So I'm going to check this and see how it's done. I'll do it a little bit more. And it's just a string that pulls and rotates the shape. So there's the cucumbers. So I'm going to put them in with the tomatoes. And it's quite a bit of cucumber. I'll bring this in closer so that you can see. And I'll add the rest of these.
It's already such a full bowl.
Yes, yeah, and it makes a lot, but I mean, we just love it. As I said, you could make half a recipe. So there are the cucumbers, but the cucumbers are the heaviest thing, the cucumbers and the tomatoes. What comes next are the scallions that I chopped, the little green onion scallions, and I chopped them fairly small by hand. You could also just put them in the food processor if you like.
And what was that chopper? Someone's asking. The chopper that you did used for the cucumbers? What do you call that?
It's called Briefton's, and it comes in 2 sizes, Briefton's. Because sometimes I just don't want to pull out the food processor.
It's handy.
Simple, it's handy. If I'm making a soup and want to do a few celery and carrots and onions, I do it really quickly in this, and then it's done. Now the real flavor is the herbs that I've done. Now with the herbs, you really want to process them really well. I put these in the food processor because they're going to create the flavor. So I process the herbs, the mint, parsley, cilantro, and basil. And I use a nice big bunch of each and get them really fine. And then that goes in, and you can already start to smell the aroma.
You can. We wish we were there.
Oh. Okay. And then I mix that up a bit. And one thing I want to say about this gazpacho, it's really great the next day. As often with, I'm sure Katie May, you know, with some of your dishes, the next day when the flavors really merge, the gazpacho is even better. So now I'm going to add the lemon or lime juice. I use a combination of both. And this also, as we know, lemon really brings out the flavor. I often use a little bit more. This is about 1/4 cup. So we have that, and we mix that in good. And I store this gazpacho in big mason jars. and keep it in the refrigerator when it's done. Now we're going to add that actually came in sooner, is the red pepper. And I put this in the food processor and got it really fine and processed that. So when I'm doing this, I do the tomatoes, then I do the pepper, then I do the cucumber, one at a time. You can do it in here. And we'll mix that in. And the red pepper gives it some really nice flavor. It has a little sweetness to it. If you did it in a juicer, as I say originally, that's how I did it, it would be much thinner, much waterier. As that kind of gazpacho, it would be a much thinner, waterier gazpacho. So we did the lemon, we did all of that, and then a good tablespoon of cumin.
Alese, will you say more about the tomato juice? That is an option for people?
Yes.
What was the reasoning you started with the tomato juice? Was there just for more concentrated flavor, or you wanted the thinner consistency?
Not really. I thought originally it should be a thinner gazpacho. So I chopped some in the food processor and then some I juiced. And I just didn't think flavor-wise it made any difference. Just consistency was more watery.
Okay, great. And a couple other questions for you before we move on.
Sure.
What kind of food processor are you using?
I use a Cuisinart.
We love Cuisinart here. Yeah, Cuisinart is a great brand. It looks like a big one, maybe a 12 or 14 cup.
Yeah, this is
something about that.
It's like a 9 cup.
9.
Or ever.
Have you ever froze the gazpacho?
I have not. You know, I knew you were going to ask me that, Katie. I haven't, because I don't know what it's like to freeze something like this with tomato in it, although I have frozen tomato sauce.
Yes. You know, I've purchased gazpacho frozen before at a soup, like a soup stand, and it was okay. But generally we don't, what I teach people is that it's things that have a high water content, they don't freeze as well. Unless you can blend it. If this was just like any soup where it was super creamy, you could throw it into a blender and that would take care of any inconsistencies. But with this dish, all the chunkiness, you don't want that. So between the tomatoes and the cucumber, I just don't think it's the best to freeze.
I agree. I've never felt that I could freeze this soup.
Yeah.
Plus, it's gone.
I was going to ask, so how long would that last in your home with Dr. K and you?
4 days.
Okay.
I wouldn't keep it more than 5 days.
It starts to, the flavor builds after a couple days, but then it starts to decline.
Yeah, and not only that, I don't know, for foods, I keep leftovers 4 or 5 days at the most, and then I just feel that most of the goodness and the food is gone.
I agree.
I mean, we'll have some of this tonight, but tomorrow will be even better by tomorrow night.
Right. Great. There was just one other quote. Someone was wondering about buying fresh herbs. Do you have any tips or insights you have when buying herbs?
Well, I go to a Spanish market, which is about 10 minutes from here, and they have this big basket of all fresh herbs. So that's where I got these. But you can get them in Whole Foods.
Yes, definitely. But the Asian or Mexican markets, they often have so much more variety when it comes to produce. That's what I found.
You do, yes. I was amazed.
And good prices too.
Yeah, great prices. And actually I got these beautiful, beautiful tomatoes there. They're not organic, but I washed them well. And I know because organic tomatoes can be expensive, and I'm making a big bunch here. But these tomatoes taste the way in my father's garden when I was a child. And I was really amazed because I have had such disappointment in tomatoes, certainly at foods and the other health food stores. And they just had such an abundance, and you can tell by the smell that it's still like a tomato. Yeah.
Great.
So, I mean, there are times when I don't do organic because I know the quality is not going to be that great.
Right. Yeah, you have to just learn from the experience, and it depends often, based on your location and what's available to you.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay, so I'm going to let me do this over a bowl. I didn't measure it out, but this is the cumin, and this really adds a lot to the flavor also. So that's a tablespoon of cumin. And then we want to do just a little, and this is optional, a little sprinkling of cayenne. And I just want to make sure it's not going to come out just like that. This is a big bowl, so if you're doing, it depends on what you like. And then I know this is not SOS, but I am going to use salt in this just because it does magic for the flavors. We know that salt really brings
Yes,
the flavor
it does.
of any food. Yeah, so just.
Yeah, it's kind of like potatoes. Potatoes and tomatoes. It makes a huge difference with just a little bit of salt. But that is optional for anyone that doesn't want to add the salt. Or you can always add it just at the individual servings, sprinkling it on top.
To do it at the individual servings. So it really wasn't much, but it's going to do a lot for the flavor. And then I take some pepper, fresh ground pepper, and put that in. I can really start to smell this now. It's really smelling very, very nice. And I'm mixing all of that in, and I would let it set probably in the refrigerator for about, we want to eat it tonight and it's already after 8, but I would let it set in the refrigerator for a few hours before I even touch it. So I'm going to get, excuse me for a minute, I'm going to get a little ladle and show you how I serve it.
Okay, sounds good.
Mix that up real good.
Everyone, stay tuned because Alese is going to share some more of her passions, letting us know some ways that we could work with her, learn from her outside of the kitchen. And we have a special guest going to be joining us in just a little bit as well. So just build some excitement here. Got more to come.
What's really good with gazpacho is when it is topped with avocado. So the way I serve it, and of course any size bowl will do, but I love wooden. I love tomatoes in wooden for some reason, and I never use metal if I'm working with tomatoes. It's just something that I learned from my Italian mother a long time ago. She always liked to use non-metal utensil when serving serving anything with tomatoes. So, and then I just score the avo, put it on top.
Yum. Oh,
you see it okay?
Yes, we all wish we were taking a spoonful of that right now. Looks so good. So fresh.
It's so fresh. Everything in it is fresh, and it's a wonderful summer dish. And as you can see, it really didn't take me long at all. Of course, I pre-prepped some of this, but it really it took me, I just put everything in there, maybe did the cucumbers in this thing, and it was done. It's not a big maintenance heavy meal. So that's the thing I like about it.
Yes, and it's so actually meditative just to be in the kitchen preparing things like this. So when you find that you're going to be making something, I encourage people to enjoy it, you know, not to be rushed through the process, just to be present with what you're doing. And it actually is so much more healing than just the nutrients that you'll be consuming later on. It's actually really healing to connect with the food. So we need a little bit of time to be in that kitchen, you know, handling our food. I think that's so healing. We had a couple more questions.
Sure.
What kind of salts, if you are using salt, what's your salt preference?
This is the Celtic sea salt. I don't know if I really have a certain preference, but this is what I use. I seem to really like this seems to be more flavorful, so I don't need to use as much for some reason, you know. Or the pink Himalayan. They're
Either
all
one.
kind of fun too.
How long do you wash and clean your veggies? What's your process for that? Someone's wondering.
Most of what I use is organic. As I say, the tomatoes weren't. But I do a good soak. Sometimes if they're organic, I just wash them in water.
Me too.
If they're not organic, I've been researching what Michael Greger says: a little bit of baking soda or a little bit of vinegar, and let them soak.
Or even a salt bath is another recommendation he has.
Yes, yeah. So I did that with tomatoes, and you know.
Okay.
That's it.
Sounds good. Oh, how long do you leave them in the bath? Like just.
10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. People love hearing other people doing this lifestyle. So many, you know, it doesn't take much credibility, you know, title-wise, to have a ton of experience in the kitchen to be sharing with people, providing value. So thanks so much for being here, Alese.
Oh, you're welcome. And I have to tell people, you know, it really, the more you do it, the more simplicity happens. I have to say, I'm not one who likes to be in the kitchen, and I'd rather be doing other things. But, you know, I want Dr. Clapper to eat healthy, and I like to eat healthy. He needs more variety than I do. I'm pretty zen in my eat. But, you know, you get your own rhythm. And, you know, since I've been with him and he loves to eat, I'm in the kitchen more, and I've really found a rhythm to make it go in a way that doesn't feel stressing or taxing to me. So you find
does Dr. Clapper ever get in the kitchen with you? You guys prepare something together? No.
Dr. Clapper doesn't cook it. Oh.
I remember being at TrueNorth and giving my cooking classes, and it was just such a treat to be able to take him samples. He appreciated the samples so much.
Yeah, he really, really appreciates food. He has been making salads, though. Of course, now he's very, very busy with his master class, which he'll tell you about. But before that started, he used to make the salads in the house, and so that was great.
Yeah. It's nice if you can get your partner to do just one meal like that. Even the salad, it makes a difference.
Well, we did. I must say, we did during the height of the coronavirus. We tried, because we like to support plant-based companies. We did try purple carrot for a while, just kind of as a break and to give me some more cooking ideas. And that was great, because Dr. Clapper used to put them together, because it was all instructions and
it's all right there for him.
All there for him. So, and he did a good job with those, and he actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a great. So Purple Carrot is the company she mentioned, and they do meal delivery of the ingredients with the recipe, and then you get to make it on your own. Yeah. So that's another fun option to help build your skills in the kitchen and give you a break a little bit at the same time.
And gives you ideas, new ideas.
Yes. So I was letting them know that we were going to hear a little bit about your passion outside of the kitchen. We just heard that the kitchen is not really your passion, but there's ways that you were teaching yoga at True North, and people are still able to work with you outside of True North. They were, when you were at True North, you could get a video to take home, take Alese to your home and continue the yoga. But now with COVID happening, that's the main way people can work with you now. Will you tell us a little bit about your yoga style and the videos?
Sure. Well, apparently, from what I understand, they're still selling my yoga DVDs at True North.
Yes.
It was the first time I started doing chair yoga at True North because I didn't want anybody to have an excuse of, well, I can't get down on the floor, or it's going to hurt my knees, I won't be able to get back up. So I went to Dr. Goldhammer and I said, I really want to do chair yoga for those who have challenges of getting down on the floor, and that way there's no excuses. Well, of course, he loved that, because Dr. Goldhammer doesn't like excuses. So I added that to the repertoire there of yoga. And I also would do, besides the chair yoga, I would do an easy flow, of course, because we do have a lot of people fasting at True North, just an easy beginner flow. So I created this video, Yoga with Alese, and it's got 2 classes on it. It's got the chair yoga, and it's got a very, very slow, gentle flow, but it does move. It does include, I think, 2 sun salutations.
So anyone just, not familiar with yoga, they hear it, maybe they think it's a hippie thing, just for the health nuts or vegans or whatever associations they have with yoga. If they don't have the experience doing it themselves, or maybe they've done it a long time ago but didn't actually go deep enough to reap the benefits, why should we be doing yoga? Basically, everyone and anyone would benefit from it.
Anybody would. First of all, it is non-religious. It's not a religion. It's got nothing to do with that. It is more of a mindfulness practice. It is, I tell my students, minimum 3 times a week, but it really is a daily practice, as Mr. Iyengar and all the yoga greats have said. And it works on a really beautiful level. It works on an inner level where most exercise forms are very outward. You're working your muscles and you're huffing and puffing, which is all great in the cardio. But yoga is an inner quiet practice, and that's why I love it. It's meditation in motion is really what it is.
Absolutely.
And anybody can benefit, but you have to find the right teacher that speaks to you, because I've heard so many people say, well, I tried it, I didn't like it, or I tried it and I didn't care for the teacher. You have to really go around and feel and get a sense and a feel for what type of yoga speaks to you. A gentle yoga, beginner yoga if you're just starting. Iyengar yoga is a wonderful style, particularly because they are so specific on alignment, and often if you have any back injuries or other injuries, I would suggest Iyengar yoga. If you're young and more athletic, then definitely do a vinyasa yoga, one that really move your body. But it really is, no matter what it is, it's an inward practice. And it couples beautifully with a meditation practice. And meditation can be anything. As Katie said, it's being in the kitchen and being fully present. That's all it's. And
it can be difficult to make the kitchen your meditative practice when life is so busy and you have family around or it's noisy. So getting a meditation, an actual meditation practice, or yoga, which is actually a really beautiful way for anyone to start meditating, because you get to actually be moving your body, and you're not solely focused on your breath. But I find that a yoga practice actually strengthens my diet, strengthens my reserve, my attitude, my mindfulness, and my ability to choose the healthier foods. and also the desire to choose healthier foods, because if you're taking care of your body in one way, you generally want to continue that in the other areas of life.
Beautifully said. That's absolutely true. That is so true. Yeah, it really supports, you know, the real yogic diet is the diet of ahimsa, of nonviolence. And nonviolence means for all living creatures. So it brings in that ethical quality. You know, I'm an ethical vegan. I've been vegan now for, gosh, I became vegan in 1980. So it really brings in that ethical quality with the yoga. So that's and in the time of COVID, we need calming, we need centering, and we need a diet that's going to build our system. So that all works together.
The heart centering, it helps you kind of get in touch with what matters. You know, what your values are, and going internal, and then that will be reflected in your behavior and day-to-day, your meals too. I think another reason we want to encourage yoga, and if you guys are just getting started, Alese's videos that are on Dr. Clapper's website are actually a great way to go about this. Another reason is because it helps to open up your joints. It helps to open up the flow of everything, because if you're feeding yourself with all of this nutrition, putting in the work to make the delicious meals and nourish your body, but if you have stuck energy or just everything is tight, you're not getting the nutrients into the places that it really needs to be getting to.
Beautifully said. Absolutely. Yeah. It's really, it really does work the joints. My wonderful teacher, Sarah Powers, used to say the joints are becoming an endangered species because everybody is so interested in muscles.
Yes.
But the joints are what really hold us up.
Yeah. And the lymph, the myofascial tissue is actually so important. And that's probably the most under talked about. It's basically an organ of the body. It's kind of the largest organ of the body. Yeah. And that's where all of our nutrients flow through to get from one spot to another.
And that's where yin yoga is such a wonderful practice. Yin yoga is a form of yoga that really focuses in on the connective tissue, the fascia, what's closest to the bone. And it is one of my favorite forms of yoga. It's long, slow holds.
I have not actually done, maybe I've done a couple yin yoga classes in my time, but I always go for the more powerful and uplifting, higher energy classes. But I know I could use some yin yoga, so I think I actually might. I'm gonna have to get your video, Alese, to do, and I'll use it with my parents. My parents and I are actually going through Dr. Clapper's course, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But we could definitely use some yoga too, so we'll have to do that. So let everyone know where they can find. We're talking about yoga, which we don't usually do in our delicious living videos, but it definitely applies to creating a delicious life for yourself. This lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, where you actually have happiness in addition to good blood work and being fit, because that's the most important thing, is to be happy, and the health just supports that happiness, I feel like. So where can they find these videos that we're talking about to support that healthy, happy lifestyle?
My video?
Yeah.
On drclapper.com. But I love what you just said, Katie, is that it's amazing how when you do yoga or take care of your body or whatever, you just naturally start to eat better. It's just, it will. So for those of you that you have to move your body, you have to get out there, whether it's just power walking or whatever, because that will help support you to, the better we feel, the better we look, the happier we are. It's all connected.
Yes, absolutely. And it's there's so much science behind it, and that's what I'm so fascinated by. So I'm actually going to be doing a series talking more about this, how the lifestyle supports our happiness on a chemical level, neurotransmitters. And when you can support that through the food, but through other ways, it makes it easier to support yourself in those ways. It's a beautiful cycle that we can get into.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah, to do a segment on that. Oh, that's exciting, because it's not just what we put in our mouth.
Mm-hmm. So much more.
That's a big thing. It's a big thing, but it's not the only thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what, and Dr. I don't know if Dr. Clapper is ready, but I think we should also talk a little bit, mention TrueNorth, since you guys were part of the team at TrueNorth, and letting people know what that space is. And it's so food and water focused, but it's not only about the food, the diet.
Yes.
So, and Dr. Clapper, I'm putting Dr. Clapper's website in the comments here. If you guys, it's in the description as well, but here in the comments, this is where you can get Alese's videos. If you go to in the navigation bar, it says resources, and then you click on films, and her DVDs are at the very top.
And also, I'm starting a new Facebook page. Well, it's already up. I just don't have much content. It's called Wellness with Alese. And it will just
put in the link for that too.
Things that I've learned to do now that I'm the big 7-0.
Your birthday was just a couple days ago, wasn't it? Happy birthday.
Yeah, so tips that I've learned along the way, and that I'll be able to share with you. So shall I go get the special guest?
Yes, our special guest of the hour. We have two special guests of the hour. So everyone, Alese's Facebook group is a free Facebook group, and like she said, she's going to be sharing all about her experiences and insights and things along the way that, oh wow, there's a video on your Facebook group that's just beautiful. Hi, Dr. Clapper.
Yeah,
so nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. You look pretty as ever. Good to see you.
So, anyone that hasn't been introduced to Dr. Clapper virtually or in person, this is Dr. Michael Clapper, MD from TrueNorth Health Center. How long were you at TrueNorth?
I was there for 8 years.
8 years, and it was just an amazing time having you there. It was kind of like the end of an era when you both left us. I know everyone missed you so dearly, but why? Just share a little bit about your story, just quickly your background and why you left, what you were doing at TrueNorth and why you left, because that was really important for you to continue what you're doing now.
Sure. I'm a classically trained physician, and for the past 38 years I've been using plant-based nutrition to reverse serious degenerative diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure. It's the most exciting, fulfilling kind of medicine I could ever hope to practice. But after 8 years at TrueNorth, to see the power of what plant-based diets can do to restore good health, I realized I needed to reach a wider audience. As much fun as it is to help people individually, the people I really needed to be talking to are the medical students. While they're still in school, before pharmacosclerosis sets in their brain and they think that drugs are the only treatment, when the fact is most of their people are sitting in front of them from what they're eating, from the standard Western diet, and yet medical education just blows right past that. And I've devoted the rest of my career to spreading the message among medical schools, medical students, that before you order another $1,000 scan or another $500 set of lab tests, ask your patient what they ate yesterday, doctor, because that's why they're sitting in front of you, obese and hypertensive and diabetic and clogged up and inflamed from what they're running through their bloodstream every few hours. And if you get them on a whole food plant-based diet, these diseases, most of them go away. I wish someone had told me that 50 years ago. It would have changed the course of my entire medical career. And so I'm devoting the rest of my time to delivering that message to the young medical students that that if you adopt a plant-based dietary approach to your patients, you'll become the happiest doctor you know. You'll see your patients healthier right before your very eyes. And isn't that what we really want? So I left TrueNorth to establish our Moving Medicine Forward initiative. And through the support I've gotten from plant peer communities and other volunteers, we've been devoting our time full-time to visiting the medical schools with a plant-based message. But since COVID arrived in last March, we're now shifting everything online, and I'm in the middle of our 12-unit masterclass in plant-based clinical nutrition, where I'm taking all this information and putting it into 12 master classes for young doctors and students, saying, here's how you use plant-based nutrition to heal your patients with diabetes and high blood pressure and these diseases. And so we're focusing on getting all this material in an electronic replayable form. And anyone who would like to have access to that or help us or bring me to a medical school electronically, I've been doing lots of Zoom visits with medical students. I invite them to go to our website, drklapper.com, DOCTORKLAPER.com, and click on Moving Medicine Forward, and you'll see our entire program, what we're doing there, and what I've been doing since I left TrueNorth a couple of years ago.
And it's really for anybody. There are a lot of people that are not doctors. Katie is taking it.
Right.
Yes.
Half the students are not in the
Are
medical
not
field, but this is fine. The more we get this information out, the quicker it'll be accepted generally.
Yes, and I have a master's in nutrition, so I'm well studied in nutrition, and I've taken E. Cornell's master class, or not a master class, but the E. Cornell nutrition program, and I am now taking Dr. Clapper's class, and it's significantly different than both of those programs. And I've paid, one of them I went to 3 years of schooling, and you didn't get the detail and the information that Dr. Clapper's providing in this class. And as fantastic as E. Cornell's program is, this is very different as well, because it goes into, I feel like it goes deeper into science and the mechanisms of disease process and healing, which I think is really powerful for, of course, any medical student or health professional, but even for yourself, if you're like me, and you like understanding why you're doing something rather than just like do this, it's so much more powerful and meaningful to choose the healthier foods if you actually know how it's working in your body, why it's working, and then to be able to share that with other people is just so powerful. So I highly recommend Dr. Clapper's course.
Yeah, people can still sign up. They'll get replays of anything that they've missed, and it's very reasonably priced.
It is, and it's 12 weeks, 12 weeks long, and they're spread out every 2 weeks. And so it started back in July, maybe? Was it July? And so we have, it's going to be continuing through December. So any of the classes you've missed, like they said, you'll get access to those classes. You can just watch the replay. But then you can join Dr. Clapper live for the classes moving forward.
Indeed. Thank you for getting that word out. And again, the entire 12 class set will be available in December when we're finished recording them all, and people can buy individual units or the entire course. So stay tuned to my website and we'll make that available.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, if anyone has any other questions, let them in the comments for either Alese or Dr. Clapper. We'd love to answer anything that's on your mind right now. Dr. Clapper, Alese tells me that you were enjoying purple carrot, the service purple carrot, and then making up some really tasty meals.
They do. I've been very impressed with them. Elise said, "Listen, if you're an equal partner, you got to make these meals." And so I've been working my way through a couple of these meals, and they're a little challenging the first time, but it's really delicious. They do some really good things with their spices and with the combinations of foods, and I've been very impressed for all plant-based dietary style. They do it well.
Oh, they do use oil, but we just substitute and water saute. So don't let, I don't want you to say, well, it's full of oil. It's not. You just take it out.
Yeah, good point. Good to mention that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Your gazpacho looks amazing. Everyone was raving about it in the comments. Couldn't wait to taste it or make it themselves. So we're excited. I'm going to be writing up a recipe here, sharing it with everyone, the instructions and everything, so that they can take it home and make it if they don't have time to watch the video. But I also want to let you know I'm going to be, if it's okay with you guys, I haven't asked you ahead of time, but I'll share the recipe on my website and then link to your website and mention the classes and the Alese's video as well.
Sure, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes. A couple of questions I think just came in. Are wooden bowls okay for the tomatoes? You mentioned not doing the metal bowls. I think they were worried about the liquid coming into the wooden bowls. Have you noticed any issues with that?
No, I haven't with this bowl. This is a really pretty good solid wood, but I also use it I put it in a pretty glass bowl is also fine too.
Okay.
I just like eating out of wood. We both love eating out of wood.
Me too. I use wood so much more than metal as well. Another question here. Alese, which video would you recommend for someone who's never experienced yoga before they're 80 years old?
Oh, definitely the chair yoga.
Great. Dr. Clapper, what does Gazpacho provide as far as nutrition? Does it help a certain system in the body?
Gazpacho, what does it provide as far as nutrition?
We've got tomatoes and cucumber, just
Gazpacho,
lots of fresh vegetables.
Gazpacho stimulates your goody gland, and that's very important to do. And we have understimulated goody glands these days. It's a national problem. It tastes so good, and it's such a great way to get these fresh vegetables. It's a great way to get tomatoes and onions, things that you wouldn't eat that much of. It's a delightful way to get these wonderful vegetables and cilantro, parsley. I never really eat them, but here's a great way to do it. It's just so fresh and vital. You can't go wrong with gazpacho. I can't wait for this to be over so I can.
That is a great point about the fresh herbs. So often we may be having salads or sautés, different things with vegetables, but we don't often use fresh herbs. So I love that here.
Exactly.
And I love cilantro. For me, the more cilantro in it, the better.
Dr. Clapper, have you ever gotten into the garden? Someone's wondering. Do you have a garden?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Every chance we moved around to a number of places, but wherever we're at, we put things in the ground without question.
Tell them about your banana orchard.
Oh, and we're in South Florida. We've got a banana grove here. I've learned how to transplant banana shoots and grow new banana trees. We've harvested a couple of big hams from them already.
Wow.
They're so vital. They're so green, and this is such a rich place to grow things.
Wow, that's awesome. I've never even considered having a banana tree. That's so fun.
They're as big as I am. They're creatures almost. You go and say hi to them every morning. See how when we leave.
Does Purple Carrot use organic ingredients?
Yes, that's what they claim.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. Cheryl Lighton says, we miss you all here in Santa Rosa. It's so great to see the three of you together. So, yeah, people are missing you guys in Santa Rosa.
I'm sure they're missing you.
Yeah. It'd be great now that we're all gone to reinstate the extravaganza once COVID's over. So we can come back and gather again.
Yes, That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
we'll have to
Yeah.
mention that to Goldhammer. Push a little bit.
Yeah, my understanding was that he wasn't going to do it anymore.
I know. Well, we could just set it up ourselves though. Just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
book a room for ourselves.
Yeah, a reunion.
Yep. Yeah. Well, this is a nice reunion with you too. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
Great to
Yeah,
see you.
it's-
Yeah.
Thanks for making all this wonderful knowledge and
Yeah.
normality available, that you're bringing this to life, and it's so vital. It's a wonderful service that you do. Thank you for that.
you very much. That means a lot to me. But I'm really, really touched by you just going after the medical schools too, because that is so needed to reach them before they're indoctrinated with, all the bad stuff.
Do you know she lives now in Washington State?
Oh, right. You moved up to.
Yes. I couldn't get away from True North. I just couldn't leave True North. But when COVID happened, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to sneak away and get closer to my family. So
Where are you in Washington State?
it's northwest of Seattle, Polestar, Washington. So it's the Olympic Peninsula.
Oh, I know them.
Yeah.
He goes everywhere.
Yes,
so.
right. Are you near Aberdeen, or where are you? Where in the
It's called Polestar. It's between between Bainbridge and Kingston, Edmonds,
Oh.
Port Townsend.
more south there? Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, south.
Oh, wonderful.
But I'm hoping to connect with Bastyr University. I was a student at Bastyr, and I'm hoping to connect with them, their nutrition program. And now I'm thinking that I don't know if you've taught there yet, to connect you with their program.
Yes, I've
taught
taught
there.
there several times.
Yeah.
No, I've lectured there.
Are you
And,
doing the Moving Medicine Forward? Do they have any connection to that program?
No, years ago I lectured
Okay.
at Bastyr. It'd be fun to go back there.
Yeah,
So-
the year I left, they added meat back into the cafeteria. They were a vegetarian cafeteria when I was attending, and then they added meat back in. So I think they could use your guidance.
I agree. That's what they offered me the chairman of the nutrition department, and I turned it down because I saw the paleo thing coming, and I didn't want to argue with them.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for joining us.
You're
I
welcome.
will be in touch with you guys. Wish you the best. We'll be enjoying more of your classes, your upcoming classes, and everyone who's watching, all of the links will be in the description. They're already there, but I'll also be putting this on the website for anyone to get in touch with Dr. Clapper and Alese moving forward. So thank you so much. You guys have a delicious weekend. Enjoy the gazpacho.
Namaste.
Namaste.